Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video game review. For this particular episode, we're going to be looking at the good, the bad, and the Jedi, which is Jedi Survivor. But before we get into this episode, you guys know exactly what comes up next.
Welcome to the Light, Camera, Rant Podcast. Your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
So, as I mentioned, we're going to be looking at Jedi Survivor. It's hard to believe that it's been 4 years since the very first game came out, which is Jedi Fallen Order, which took the gaming community by storm when it first came out. I loved it. Obviously, at the time, we had Star Wars Battlefront, but it feels like it's been so long since we had a pure Jedi game, which this came out and it filled that void. And everybody loved it. All the critics loved it. And it was funny when I was looking at the dates of when this came out. I thought it was really funny because since that game came out, we've had an entire global pandemic. And we've gone into one and come out from one since the sequel came out. So time flies, right? So we're going to be looking at the story. We're going to be looking at the gameplay. We're going to be looking at the graphics. And then we're going to be doing an overall verdict. So it's definitely stay to the end. Find out if this game fits in the void of what seems to be 2023 video game. There seems to be a lot more misses than hits, which I think a lot of us were feeling. So find out if it does fill that category, or does this separate the herd and it's another solid game and a solid sequel. So without further ado, let's dive into this. So this game picks up 5 years after the very first game. Now, all the main characters do come back. However, we do see our friendly gathering of team fully split up. Cal's got a new team. Obviously, they're still attacking the Empire head on. And then we see it. We don't actually get to see Seer for a little while, but we do find out that something's happened. Seer's gone off with these religious people. Mirren's gone off with them. And Grease has opened a pub restaurant essentially on a planet. However, Cal Kestis got to keep the wonderful spaceship after all that. And as the story progresses, I found it really interesting in the sense that, we get a little bit of the High Republic, we get a little bit of mystery, we definitely get action. Action is nothing the wiser. We get plenty of action, and you are definitely in this game felt like a pure Jedi. So this is from story to story. It's great. And however, I know some people did find that the story was lacking. I found it was a very solid solid story from the first one. With all the characters, don't get too attached to everybody. That's probably the best thing, because there is going to be spoilers in this game, left, right, and center. But yeah, don't get too attached to everybody, because the ending is definitely a gut punch to the heart, but it's well worth it when you get to that point. So story, completely thumbs up. Now the gameplay, they definitely increased on so much. So there is, instead of just having the two styles of combat with just the single blade or double bladed, we get a split blade, and we also get the cross guard, just like Kylo Ren. Now that was cool, and it's a very strong attack that we do get to see in the game. I know the cross guard, I think, was reported to be the least favorite that people liked of the entire game, because I did some background thing. A lot of people didn't like that. Funny enough. So, but I really enjoyed it. But that side of things, they've definitely built upon that. That was great. The graphics, obviously, running around, there was so much, probably a little gripe is that there's so much climbing. Everywhere. I found it a bit like daunting. I'm like, okay, I climb over here, I climb over there. We just keep doing the same thing over and over again. But abilities-wise, that's good, and especially the skilling and leveling up when you go to the meditation spots. And the world is massive now. It is such a big upgrade from the very first game. You have so much to explore, and the graphics is beautiful in so much with the gameplay. Both are fantastic, and the gameplay is great. So it just feels. I found myself, which I found myself becoming very repetitive, over and over again, in saying climbing, and even when the little bit of the story, you go back and forth from the same planet. There's only about 4 or 5 planets in the game that you do get, but you do go back and forth a lot in that gameplay sense. But graphics-wise, it's stunning. It's beautiful to look at. When you go at the very start, when you go to Coruscant, and when you go to Kaboo, there was just so much to look at in the small details of the gameplay. In the gameplay and the graphics itself is just great to look at, and you're just gobsmacked by how beautiful it looks, as you can see, which I know a lot of people did feel in the whole thing. However, the graphics was beautiful. I found myself a couple of little glitches here and there. That's probably getting the more negative side of things. The overall, if we put everything together, there's going to be some negatives about it. So, negatives: jumping world to world was a bit repetitive, as I mentioned. There's glitches. I found my camera angles getting stuck. I found a couple of things were a little bit hard to figure out what to do. There wasn't much indication, even though the hints were great. I just found it a little bit hard. So in that sense, it could have done with an update to fix a couple of things. I'm not too sure what else people think. Probably one thing I did really like that I did find at the very start is that for anyone who is a fear of spiders, there's actually an option in the settings to turn off spiders that jump out to you when you go on a particular planet. I turned it off right at the start because, like, no, I am not doing that at all. So that option is there. That's really nice. But the story I found compelling. The gameplay was such an improvement, and the graphics was beautiful. So overall, this game, I found it to be a solid sequel compared to the first game. I do understand that some people weren't too happy with the story. It was a bit too niche because obviously you came to a planet called Tandalore that's brand new in this deep space that nobody knows about. But we did get some great characters like Darren Gara from the High Republic. Sorry, the old High Republic. That was really good. Again, in no character, don't get attached to any character in this entire thing. But overall, this game is a solid sequel, in my opinion. Yes, it does have some things that does weigh it down. However, my hype for the sequel that is currently in development, because this franchise was always designed to be a trilogy, I've full got my entire support in all of this, and I can't wait to see what number 3 will. Obviously, it will be another 4 to 5 years, but to see where everything is, especially how the ending does go and who is left over, which is, again, you feel it right in your heart at the right end. But action, feeling like a Jedi, that is all good. It's just some of the side stuff that's really can let down. I can see why people complain about it. Like for me, one thing that really did piss me off is the fight with Darth Vader. That, I don't know what I did wrong. That took me like 30 goes to defeat Darth Vader. That battle is ridiculous. Even though Rick the Technician was great, I love that little thing, but that took me about 30 goes. Yet the right end with, spoiler, obviously, with Bode, that only took me 1 go to do Bode, but Darth Vader, I nearly threw my controller at the TV. I haven't done that for a while, but I was just like, this is ridiculous. So, honestly, let me know what you guys think. This game is an absolute winner. You need to pick up. Compared to everything else that's coming out this year that's a little bit flaky, or it's nothing like a hit and miss. Definitely more misses this year when since the start of the year. This is absolute winner. And for any Star Wars fan, you've got to love it. It's fantastic, and it's definitely something you need to pick up. However, depending on your dedication to it, it will be a game that once you finish the story, unless you've got a real drive, you're going to flick it back off to the store. So you guys tell me, what did you think of Jedi Survivor? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What was, did you gripe? How many times did Rick the Technician kill you? How many times did Darth Vader kill you? And what do you want to see in the sequel of Jedi Survivor? That's my biggest thing. So until next time, guys, as always, happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, happy ranting.